Hello, friends. It's another Tuesday, and I welcome you to the Mental Catalyst. I am Michael Labankwa. The Mental Catalyst, or TMC, is a show that seeks to empower everyone to achieve their purpose and full potential on earth. Once again, welcome. Last week's episode was episode 16, season 2, episode 16, titled Dare to Lead. And basically was about leadership. I used the story of Kat Cole, the lady who was a waitress at Hooters restaurant and ultimately became the president of Cinnabon, the company that bought Hooters. So Kat was, at the age of 15, she was working in a mall selling clothes. And then when she was 18, she got a job as a waitress at Hooters restaurant, serving folks. So within 6 months of working there, during one of her shifts, the cook in the kitchen quit abruptly, and at that point they had customers seated in the restaurant waiting to be served. But what she did was she took the initiative, spoke to the manager, and then both of them went into the kitchen to cook and then serve all the customers. So she did that. And then thereafter, not long after that, during another shift, the bar attendant had to leave for an emergency at home. She took over again, went over, behind the bar, and decided to also support by, serving drinks, right? So she did that as well. Then another time, she also got the opportunity to serve as the branch manager or the manager of the restaurant, because the manager at the time just quit as well. So using the story of Kat, I talked about how she saw these challenges, saw them as opportunities, and took the initiative. And through the process of doing all of that, she ultimately became a resource that was very knowledgeable and competent in the affairs of running the restaurant. So whilst doing all of that, she got opportunity to also help, extend the franchise to about 40 different sites in 28 countries. So when the company got, bought over by Cinnabon, a big, company, and they needed somebody to be the president to lead it, she was the right person for the job because she intimately understood the business and she had already earned it by virtue of the things she had done. So what is so unique and special about, Kat, and what were her motivations? I recollect reading that she said, one, it was important that the customers in the restaurant had to be served, because if the customers were not served and they don't pay their checks and they don't give the tips, she's not going to make her money, through tips and then be able to pay her bills. Because for waitresses, largely, they make the bulk of their money through tips. Secondly, she wanted to know whether, she could do it. She could do it. She just wanted to know whether she could do it. And then thirdly, she just wanted to help. Okay, so these were her three key motivations for which she decided to do what she did and then got to where she got to. So from the age of 18, and when she was 32, she became president of Cinnabon, a company that was, raking in billions of dollars in terms of revenue. So that was the recap of, last week's episode. And basically I talked about how we should all dare to lead our lives, dare to lead, take opportunities, don't shy away from challenges. Wherever we work, wherever we worship, wherever we find ourselves, we should always put ourselves in a position of leadership. We should always dare. And I talked about some of the things we can do to lead. So today's is titled Magical Habits, season 2, episode 17, Magical Habits. Okay. So last week, Saturday, around 5:30 in the morning, I left for my morning walk, and I normally walk about an hour and a half, or about 5.22 miles. So whilst walking, I happened to meet a guy that I've seen a number of times, around that time also, not walking, but jogging. Okay, and this guy's constantly jogging, anytime I saw him. But I didn't really pay attention to when I first saw him, that is on Saturday. But as I kept walking and, I kept on using the side roads and I kept walking and stuff like that, I kept on seeing that guy at different times jogging at the same pace. So I kept on walking. And on my return, I saw the guy jogging again. And I realized that this guy must have been jogging for close to about 3 hours. And at that point, I couldn't take it anymore. So when I got close to him, I flagged him down and I said, "Excuse me, sir." And he paused, But at the same time, he was still jogging, but standing still, but he was still jogging. And I was like, do you get tired? He looked at me, smiled, and he said, I've been doing this for 7 years. And then he took off. So when he said that, I have been doing this for 7 years, I was like, this guy could have just said, no, I don't get tired. Oh, yes, I do get tired. But he said, I've been doing this for 7 years. And his answer tickled me, got my attention. So what does it mean by I've been doing this for 7 years? Then it dawned on me that this was a habit that he has cultivated. So for 7 years, he's been jogging. And it's become a part and parcel of him. So when I asked him whether does he get tired, basically what he's saying is, not really. I've been doing this for so long, it's just part of me now, and it's like my air. So when I was thinking of a topic for today, I was like, interesting. I think it's about time we talk about habits. So today, we're going to talk about habits. So what is the definition of habit? A habit is a routine of behavior that is repeated regularly and tends to occur subconsciously. I'll take it again. A habit is a routine of behavior that is repeated regularly and tends to occur subconsciously. So the key words here are routine of a behavior, repeated regularly, and tends to occur subconsciously, meaning that we really don't think about it when something is a habit. We just get into the mood, we get into the flow, and we get it done. As I always do, I also give some quotes on habits, okay? So the first one is, drop by drop is the water pot filled. Drop by drop is the water pot filled, by Buddha. So basically what it's saying is, little drops of water make a mighty ocean, okay? The second one is, feeling sorry for yourself and your present condition is not only a waste of energy, but the worst habit you could possibly have. Dale Carnegie. Then the third one is, motivation is what gets you started, and habit is what keeps you going. Jim Rohn. Motivation is what gets you started, but habit is what keeps you going. So a lot of times we get motivated, we get inspired, we get fired up, and we start. We have goals and we start to pursue these goals. But because we've not cultivated the habits, we fall short on delivering on our goals. We fall short of delivering on our goals. So a habit is a routine of a behavior that is repeated regularly and tends to occur subconsciously. So now, how do we cultivate habit? But there are three key pieces to habit. There is something called the cue, the routine, and then the reward. So the cue, it can be something that you see that prompts you or tells you to take an action. Or it could be a feeling that when you feel, prompts you to take an action. So you have the cue. So subconsciously, when you feel or experience the cue, you take action by performing a routine that ultimately leads to a reward. So in thinking about why the guy said he's been running for 7 years, I started reflecting and thinking about my own experiences as to, do I have any experience that relates to his 7 years response? So what is interesting is, I go to bed with my iPad by my side. And when I wake, no matter what time it is, the first thing I do really, to a large extent, is to pick my iPad and start reading. So now, the moment I see my iPad, I know that I have to read. So the cue is seeing my iPad. The routine is the act of reading. And then when I read, my reward is one, I feel good, I feel proud. And then when I read and I hit my target, I now do what? Watch my favorite TV shows, or I listen to smooth jazz. So when I don't read, I don't reward myself. So when we set all of these goals that we've been talking about in the past episode, I talked about let's be daring, let's be hungry, let's set the goals, let's go after it. I talked about having dashboards and all of that. But if we are not able to create a habit that will deliver on these goals, then we have done what? Not done the work we are supposed to do. Okay? We have not done what we are supposed to do. So we need to start looking at how we form the habits. How we form the habits. And why the habits are relevant. A lot of times, most of us have habits, or we have, I don't call them habits because they are not consistent. We have routines that we are back upon, but we are not consistent. We are not consistent to the point where it becomes a habit, where now subconsciously we find ourselves doing these routines without deliberately thinking about it. And that is where most of us miss it. So going forward, we have to figure out how do we cultivate these habits. So for example, for those of you who are watching, a lot of people, when they get home from work, they put the clothes they're going to wear, the dresses they're going to wear, the shoes they're going to wear, the ties they're going to wear. They prepare for the following morning. So when you wake up, you see your clothes, you know very well that, hey, you got to go to work. So because you've done that several and over again, you don't even think about it. You wake up, you do your little chores or whatever it is. You know that, look, you've got to go to work. Because guess what? It's become a part and parcel of your lifestyle. Now, if you have a goal of actually walking or running on a daily basis, or, a number of days in a week or whatever it is, if you want to start cultivating the habit, one of the key things you can do is to put your running shoes and your exercise gear at a place where when you wake up, you see it. But when you see it, it's a cue that tells you know what, you got to get ready to go and do what? And exercise, right? So we need to start looking for cues. We need to start putting things in places that will give us that, that alert for us to do, an action that will lead to what? We cultivating a habit. Okay, so I give the example of I have my iPad and it helps me do that. Now, when we go back to the story of Kat, she got herself into the habit of always seeking or looking for, challenges, which she converted to opportunities by getting involved in trying to solve or provide solutions for challenges that occur, as in where she worked. So having done that, it ultimately propelled her to where she got to as the president. So when Kat started doing all the things she had to do, teaching employees how to, do different functions and things like that, helping with operations, helping with, bookkeeping, helping whatever it is, she cultivated a habit of what? Constantly just putting herself out there to help. So habits are very, very essential and crucial to our success. We can't just set goals and not have the habits that will accompany those goals for us to succeed. But a lot of us, as I have said, we have little routines, but we are not consistent. And habits normally takes between 18 days to 254 days. But averagely, it takes 66 days to form a habit. 66 days. So today, when I look at even my reading, I don't struggle anymore in reading because I've become used to it. When I see my iPad, I just know that I've got to read. So I just take it, and any slack time I have, I'm reading. It's also gotten me to be laser focused on my goals, in that the things that really are not priorities, because I have goals and I have the habits that have been formed now, I find myself subconsciously doing the things that really matter. Okay? So what are some of the ways to what? To cultivate and keep new habits, okay? And habits could be bad habits and could be good habits, okay? So there are ways to change your bad habits. Normally, you have to change, the cue is going to be there. You have to now look at the routine, and the reward is still going to be the same. So what you really do in between is changing the routine. But then the cue is going to be there, and then the reward is going to be there. Okay, so you have good habits and you have bad habits. So by here, I'm talking largely about the good habits, okay, to a large extent. So set goals that have true value to you. Set goals that have true value to you. So in our case, I talk about the mental catalyst goal of, we having these sessions on every Tuesday for the next 20 years. I talked about 1 billion healthy lives. I talked about reading 52 books a year. These are goals that mean so much to me, that are of value to me. So when I keep pursuing these things, I'm cultivating what? A habit in the process. So it's important that your goals are of value to you. Don't just set goals just because people say, hey, you got to have goals and stuff like that. They've got to have meaning to you. They have to be connected to your purpose, your true calling in life, okay? Remind yourself, okay? I'm always reminded of my goals because, one, I have put them out there publicly, for all of you guys to know that, okay, these are my goals, okay? So I always have a constant reminder by virtue of the things I read, the things I see, and what people say to me. Okay, so always find a way to have a reminder. Okay, find a way to always remind yourself. Find others with similar habits. Find others with similar habits. And it's a lot easier when you have people that are pursuing or exhibiting the same habits that you have. Okay, so find people to associate with that have similar habits. Visualize your goal. I visualize our goal of touching 1 billion healthy lives. I visualize our goal of having 1 billion people listening to TMC all over the world. I visualize, my goal of reaching my 52 books before the end of the year. So if you have these goals, visualize them constantly, because that is how you're going to stay glued. But you can't just have goals and then drop them and forget about them. It's not going to work. You have to live it on a daily basis. You got to have the reminder. So you have to write them on a post-it note, or you have to put it on a whiteboard somewhere. You got to put it on a board somewhere that you're constantly reminded, or you have to set an alarm on your smartphone. Do that. You always need a reminder, okay? So you can always visualize it. Because the more you visualize it, the more you start believing that it's possible to achieve your goals. Repetition is key. Okay? So if you're going to read, keep reading. If you're going to exercise, keep exercising. You need that repetition to cultivate the habit and maintain it. Track your progress. We talked about our personal dashboards, okay? Our personal trackers. So you want to also be able to have your personal trackers, your personal dashboards, so you can track your progress. So when you're falling short, you know what to do. If you're doing well, you know what to do to keep it going, okay? Be honest with yourself. A lot of times we are not honest with ourselves. I always talk about there are times when I stand in front of the mirror and I talk to myself and I tell myself, you know what? I tell myself the hard truth, so whether I like it or don't like it, I like to be honest with myself. So we need to be honest with ourselves. Whatever our challenges are, let us be honest. There's no point in deceiving yourself. If you want to lie to somebody, don't lie to yourself. Yeah, it's of no use to you. It's vanity. There's no good that is going to come out of lying to yourself. Okay, because at the end of it, it's not going to serve you right. So be brutally honest with yourself. Okay, and then celebrate success. No matter how little or how small the success is, celebrate it. Okay? And if you also fail, celebrate it and say, oh my goodness, I tried, but I didn't hit the mark. What do I have to do? So at the end of the day, it's very, very important for us to do what? To cultivate these habits. We've talked about positive thinking, staying focused, leveraging emotional intelligence. We've talked about sexiness of failure. We've talked about why it's okay to fail. We've talked about all of these things. But as I've said, when we are not mindful of all of these tools that have to work in unison, our ultimate success is not as grand as it's got to be, because guess what? We are just doing trial and error. So we have to be mindful and conscious, very, very conscious, so we can leverage these tools. And I'm passionate about it because the more I am aware and conscious and I practice these things, the more I realize that, oh my goodness, truly, success is a choice, and I can taste it, I can feel it. Okay? And that is how, no matter what the odds are against you, no matter the adversities, the challenges you face, you know that, you know what, it's only a matter of time and you are going to make it. So when I say the magic of habits, what I'm saying is this: when we cultivate the habits and we use them, we practice them, your transformation is going to be magical. you are truly going to be sexy. You're going to be attractive and exciting. And people will look at you. You will look at yourself and you're like, I can't believe this is me. I can't believe this is me. And what I want for you guys that are watching, I want you to be that brilliant, that beautiful, that person with substance, that person that has figured out what he or she's true purpose is on earth. And not only that, but you're using all of that transformation to serve humanity. To serve humanity. My brothers and sisters, it is possible. We can do it. We've been doing Tuesdays with the Mental Catalyst every Tuesday, and we started as a joke. You've seen the cultivation of habit right before your eyes. I don't dread Tuesdays anymore. I look forward to it because guess what? Subconsciously, I know I'm going to do it. I come up with a topic and I get it done. So I'm experiencing these things that I share with you guys, and I believe that all of us can super succeed. So please, be magical. Be magical. So when people look at you, they are in awe and they can't believe your transformation. But most importantly, let us use our success for humanity. Thank you so much for spending another Tuesday with a Mental Catalyst. I'm very grateful. I love you guys and take care. Good night.